Sometimes it's tough to get a good meal, but then sometimes it's not. If you're lucky, you can get a whole spread of food in Foodies, the game about food, feeding people, great cuisine, and, well, odd-looking chefs like this guy. Join us as we play and review. First thoughts, like the box, I think it's kind of sufficient enough to sort of service what it's doing. 3 stars there, and a nice chef, and then you've got other chefs here as well, plus also your sort of tactical markers for players, age, and obviously for time. And there we go again, characters there, and some characters there as well, very nice. Booklet. Actually, one of the things I would really say about Foodies is the booklet is really good. It basically lays out the game, which is not overly complex, to be honest with you. It lays it out in a very clear and clever way, and I think it's well worth going over just briefly, because it doesn't take long at all. It's not like heavy with mechanics. You've got your board, your points board, your chef tokens, and then obviously your food tokens there, and there's obviously one on the other side as well for 2 to 3 players as well, which is very nice indeed. You've got your score sheets, which are individually different as well, and they have some menacing people in the back there, very nice. Right then, and as you can see, I've already unboxed this, but there's your chefs and your country tiles, your cards, sorry. You've got your food tiles with all of your regional cuisines. You've got your tokens, I'll just put these back in there, as well as also the chef's hat, so to jiggle around a bit. Inside there you've got your special forks as well, which as we play the game we'll explain. Dice. You've got your tokens for scoring, tokens for cash, and pretty much that's it. So, right, join us then, as we will now play and review Foodies. This is now the playthrough of Foodies. It's not going to be a playthrough actually, I'm just going to briefly explain how the game works. So what effectively you do is to set up, you get your board set up here, you get your character, your player tokens here, and I've got 3 there to correspond with the 3 here. Now you do get 2 of each of these, so you can place them on the board so you remember. I'm not going to set up the boards completely, but I'll show you. You normally start with 3 coins, you get your 2 flyer tokens, and then each of the empty spaces on any of the boards will get a coin as well, so when you fill them you get something for it. You've got your chefs, you basically shuffle your chef cards and then you put 3 out here, and the rest I normally keep underneath, although depending on how you are you can choose what to do with that. You have your 5 cuisines from your countries, which you select by these flags here, and you basically shuffle them up and take 5 out, and then you put the cuisines here. Shuffle these, you lay them out here, and obviously keep the rest of them all connected here, and you've got $6, $5, $4, etc. extending down. First player will take the hat, and effectively what happens is, and this is quite clearly here, the game phases, which is really useful, but I would always say first time, as always, use the book. The book's always the best place to start. It allows you to understand the game a lot better than just the simple prompts. But here you would roll the die, and 2, and then you'll look on your board here, and so effectively you can collect your dollar here. You then can, effectively all players collect that, so all players will collect the reward that's from that particular square on their particular, what is effectively their food stalls, or food courts. Then you can acquire a new food stall, which is basically buying them from the set here, and then you can hire a chef if you wish to, and they obviously have special requirements, as you can see here. This is 4 of the same country, 5 of different foods, and then if all of these are filled up. It's the sort of thing that is actually a lot more easier to see played than sort of just verbalised, but that is basically the game. The flyer is the only sort of additional bit that you'll need to know, is where if you roll, say for instance you roll a 9, you can choose to use the flyer to collect a reward from any of the adjacent squares, so 6, 8 and 5. Some people do it that you can choose from any, but I prefer to keep it a little bit more restricted because I think it's fairer. Just to note as well, if you roll a 0, you can choose whichever square you wish to collect from. That way they're making life a lot easier for you, and also being able to claim points. Victory points are gained by here, basically from your board here, and it pushes up to 20. If you're playing for 2 players and 3 players, you go up to 39. Bar that, that's the game in its entirety, and what I'll try to do is I'll try to do an actual proper playthrough with a few people once COVID's over and done with, but I'm hoping that that will give you at least enough grounding to go out and if you have a copy to play the game quite easily. Now, I really like Foodies. I think it's a social game for people who like to play collectively as a group, but also people who like to play games where they can effectively play with a couple of friends in a remote way, so it certainly works well for nowadays, i.e. during the time of COVID, but also for the times where you want to play a game and you can sort of sit and drink and eat and chat and stuff. It does say that it takes about 20-30 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, which I think is actually sort of doing it a slight disservice. I think this sort of game that can take an hour easily, because it's one of those games that's far more social, people have a bit more fun. Some people will take it quite seriously and they will probably then expect it to run for no more than about 30 minutes, which is true. 14 plus, I don't understand why that is. I think 10-year-olds can understand this game pretty simply. There's no real level of complexity in that respect, and I think that the particular food groups, there are kids who are foodies, quote unquote, and so I think that there's no real restriction there. I think that 14 is probably, I don't know why they've done that, to be honest, and I think it's probably a bit too restrictive. And then finally, 2 to 5 players, I would say best 4, at worst 2. 5 players is a little bit dicey because the roll's on for too long and there's a sort of stagnancy to it. But overall, yeah, I think Foodies is a brilliant game. I think if you have a copy or you see a copy around, pick it up, play it. And if you don't, then you probably should if you like those sort of social games where you can all play together and enjoy yourself. Anyway, that was Foodies. I'm Simon and this is Game Club, and thank you very much for watching again.